You know, sometimes I'm pulled out of what I'm doing. Sometimes I'm woken up. Sometimes I'm dragged on the camera to start the show. I mean, this is the 8 p.m. show. We're here anyway. But to talk about some nonsense because the rumors are just swirling around. We're not here necessarily to confirm. Sometimes we're here to deny. Sometimes we're here to shoot down some of the stupidest things we're hearing. This one by Colin Cowherd, talking about the Vikings trading up to number 3 in the NFL draft. Right here, you can see Vikings are at number 11. Trade up to number 3 overall is what the rumor is from Colin Cowherd. The proposed potential trade idea that everybody's talking about right now. The Vikings moving up to 3, surrendering the 11, Justin Jefferson and a 25 first rounder. It's absolute garbage. It will never happen. I don't know why it continues to be talked about. And we're here to shoot it down. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios.
It's the Fantasy Football Show.
Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com news desk, here is your breaking news.
Sometimes Colin Cowherd opens his big mouth and says something really stupid. And he does that a lot, though. We can't go live every time the man opens his mouth. So I thought this would go away, but it hasn't gone away, and people keep bringing it up. People keep talking about it. People keep saying things like JJ getting traded. Now, the thinking behind JJ maybe even being considered to be traded would be that his contract, that no one wants to pay this man what he's gonna command. And maybe the Vikings feel like they're in rebuild mode and they might be trying to, I don't know, rebuild from the ground up. But this would not be the trade. This is like, even if you took the number 11 pick out and let's say you said, okay, Minnesota, we're going to give up JJ in a future first for the number 3 and we'll keep the 11. That would be something I would not be okay with. This proposed trade by Colin Cowherd, and this is being reported by everybody now. And so at this point, we got to come out and address it. We've got to come out and shoot this down. This is absolutely ridiculous conversation. Justin Jefferson to the New England Patriots. Colin Cowherd is proposing how the Patriots could land Vikings wide receiver Justin Jefferson via trade in the NFL draft. And this is an absolute ridiculous trade. I've even heard, I want to say, these gentlemen that were breaking it down, I believe on NBC Sports Boston, I believe, or where this came from. I think it was NBC Sports Boston. It was a radio show, and they were talking about it, and they said it was a 10 out of 10. They were in favor of the Patriots getting this done. But then they told him to rate the trade, and he said a 2 out of 10. How could anybody give this even a 1 out of 10? This is the worst constructed trade I think I've seen in quite some time. I don't care if you've got to pay JJ. I'm not factoring that into the trade value. That's not a part of the trade value chart. You sit there and go, okay, here's the trade value chart. He's worth that and that and that. Oh, we got to pay him. Let's give up a little bit more. Let's give up a little bit more because we don't want to pay him. This would be... Travis says, I don't know, this makes sense from the Patriots side. JJ and the 11... 4-3 is what you heard. No, there's talk. This is apparently what his proposed offer was, this entire package. But look, part of the reason I'm here is not just to say Colin Cowherd is going to just throw his, stupid things around all over and everybody's going to pick it up and talk about it and cause controversy. But are there variations and variants of this that make sense? To me, no. JJ's the best wide receiver in the National Football League. JJ is 25 years old. JJ is totally worth this entire side. Like there's not, you can't equate what JJ can do. You could get potentially Penix Jr. You could potentially get McCarthy. I don't know if McCarthy will fall as far as stocks climbing. But you could get, I mean, JD5 could slip. You don't know. What are you getting at 3? This isn't for the number 1 overall pick. It would be a little different if it was the number 1 overall pick, and I don't think I'd do it even then because I feel like I could get the right player at 11. But this isn't even for the number 1 overall pick. You don't even have control over your destiny at number 3 overall. It makes absolutely zero sense whatsoever. It is the dumbest constructed trade I've ever seen in my life. You have no control over your destiny at 3. You don't know what anybody else is doing. You're getting leftovers at that point. This is so ridiculous. If it was the 1 overall, there would be some sense to it. Some sense to it. And even then, I'd take off the future first round. Like, is 11 and Jefferson worth the number 1 overall pick? I say no. I say no. You're adding in an additional piece, and it's not even the number 1 overall pick. I would rather have Justin Jefferson, and I'd rather have Justin Jefferson and the 11 than have the 1 overall. Doesn't make sense at all. Doesn't make sense at all. Anyway, ridiculous. Ridiculous. Okay, so that's out of the way. I want to get that out of the way. There's some other news and notes floating around news wires. Kittle with the toe injury for the Super Bowl contest coming up here soon. He'll be fine. Don't worry about that. You've got a couple other pieces of news. Sky Moore was activated from the injured reserve. You've got some players nicked up, banged up. Rex Ryan, Cowboys interviewed Rex Ryan for their defensive coordinator vacancy. That news broke. Chip Kelly, Seahawks interviewed Chip Kelly as their offensive coordinator. That's about everything that's been floating around. And then, of course, if you didn't hear earlier, Ian Rappaport reported the Chargers are officially hiring Greg Roman as their offensive coordinator. So that's good news for the ground game. I think whatever happens in LA for the Chargers, they're gonna run the damn ball. They're gonna run the damn ball, and they're gonna run it very, very well. So yeah, Saquon rumors. We did a whole show on it yesterday, broski. So Marty, go watch that entire video. We can certainly talk about more of it today, but I did literally an hour and something on Saquon yesterday. This is just stupidity right here. Just look, any variant of this is stupid. It really is. It's just absolutely ridiculous. JJ's worth all of this right here. like would I trade JJ for 311 2025 first? Like all 3 picks, like if they were all on the same side, if I'm trying to be like real about the value here, and I know that these picks are not on the same side. I mean, yeah, maybe you do that. Maybe you take 3, 11, and 25. Because you could get Neighbors, you could get a Dunze, you could get your quarterback, you have a future first. But, like, that's the only scenario we're looking at here, which doesn't exist because these picks are not on the same side of the trade, that would even make sense with what we got on screen. Like, even if you took out things, JJ in a 25 first is worth more than the number 3 overall. Now, the thinking for people is this. Marvin Harrison Jr. You get Marvin Harrison Jr. at 3, you got him on a new deal. You don't have to pay him what you have to pay JJ. And it's understandable, but they're taking a quarterback here with this pick if they do it anyway. You don't even get control of your destiny. It makes no sense whatsoever. We got Perps dropping a $20 Boss Horn Hauler. Let's go, chat. Remember to hit the thumb up button on the way in the door. 100 live and only 30 thumbs up. 118 live now. Only for 34 thumbs up. Hit it. Do it live. We got the Boss Horn order by Perps right now.
Alert. Super chat alert. Alert. Super chat alert.
I can smell that compressor. This thing's got a compressor in it. And I can smell it. That was extra special long for Perps because not only did he just drop a $20 hauler, but he dropped a, 20 gifted memberships on the way out the door on the Saquon Barkley video. Go watch the Saquon. Did I say yesterday? It was the Saquon Barkley video wasn't yesterday. It was earlier this morning. This afternoon. So go watch that video if anybody hasn't seen the Saquon Barkley video. Space Ricky says, okay, time for your offer sucks video. That is actually accurate and deserving. So let's hit that button because that is definitely the case.
You are offer sucks. You are trade offer sucks.
Yeah, hey, New England. This is like, let's say this was offered. Colin Cowherd in New England.
You are offer sucks. You are trade offer sucks.
Thank you, Space Ricky, for the super chat. Avon says, don't do this, Smitty. JJ staying. I'm not doing anything. This is Colin Cowherd. Colin Cowherd running his mouth and scaring people. There's nothing here, bro. This is a nothing burger. If this trade went down, it would be the dumbest trade in NFL history. This would be worse than the Deshaun Watson trade. This would be the... I guess I would say, would I put it past the Vikings to do something that is very dumb with JJ? That's why I said this is like... The reason we're here talking about it, number one, is because the rumor isn't necessarily going away, okay? So people are asking about it. A lot of people wonder why I go live on a topic that, even if it's to shoot it down, well, it's because I get asked like 100 times in a day, Smitty, are you going to talk about JJ? Smitty, are you going to talk about JJ? Of course I'm going to come live and address it and talk about JJ. But there are variants to this that could possibly, go down. Like the number 3 to 11 swap and no JJ, and they give up a 25 first. So, there's that potential. And honestly, I mean, that could be talked about. That I don't necessarily think is the craziest thing in the world. If the Vikings want to go get JD5 and that I'm willing to talk about. That is something I think the Vikings should consider and might trade this 11 for the number 3 to get JD5 and have him throwing pigskins to Justin Jefferson. You give up a future first rounder for that move. That would be 100% Smitty approved.
You just
Hey, Colin, why don't you, Colin Cowherd, let me create the trade offers, and why don't you go get me a coffee? Because your ridiculous, dumb offers you're cooking up are absolutely putrid. Absolutely putrid. And what I'm cooking up makes a whole lot of sense. Because if you're the Minnesota Vikings and you move from 11 to 3 to get JD5, you give up a future first. You got Justin Jefferson catching footballs from JD motherfreaking 5. Get me a coffee, Colin. As for any other ideas, let's say JJ was involved, which would be just plain stupid. I would say, like, look, you give up JJ for the number 3, okay? First of all, what would New England do? New England can't. Who's going to throw to JJ? But you can't. You can give up the 3 for JJ because of, if you were to do this, because of the money difference. If you're taking Marvin Harrison Jr., but who's through? You know what I'm saying? Like if you were taking. I'm sorry. I'm probably confusing the hell out of you. Let me back up. Marvin Harrison Jr. at 3 is the pick, in my opinion. If you're going to trade up, but if Minnesota's trading up, they're trading up for a quarterback. If Minnesota was trading, let's say 11 to 3 to take Marvin Harrison Jr., okay, I'm sorry, I'm confusing the hell out of myself. If you're trading JJ for the number 3, and let's say you're potentially going to try and use this 11 pick for JJ, you have to bring Cousins back if you've got Marvin Harrison Jr. I apologize. I'm confusing the hell out of myself trying to concoct a trade around this stupid thing right in front of me. This is ridiculous. We got a couple more super chats coming in. Hold on one second. I think Perps is like undercover boss. He's the Vikings owner undercover, dropping all that money. Ron Navy, appreciate your $5 hauler. Ron Navy to the moon. Let's send Ron to the moon for old time's sake. Anyway, what I was trying to say, and I'm confusing myself, is because this is so stupid, is if you end up, whoever's drafting Marvin Harrison Jr., if a trade goes down, has to have a quarterback. So if the Vikings somehow, some way are trying to, let's say, trade JJ for the 3, and then they take JD 5, and they keep their 11, then what does New England do for a quarterback? Do they bring in Kirk Cousins to throw to JJ in New England? I mean, I think Ron Navy might be behind that, but there's got to be some sort of quarterback situation. But it's just crazy. It's crazy talk to me. It doesn't make any sense. Let me see what some of you guys are saying. I'm not subscribed, but I'm subbed to the Fantasy Football Show, says Mustard. That's what I'm talking about. Mustard dropping some pure knowledge on screen. He says, I'm not subscribed to Colin Cowherd, but I'm subscribed to the Fantasy Football Show. That's what I'm talking about. All right, let's open the phone lines to see what you guys think of this stupidity. You know, again, I try not to go live on everything Colin Cowherd says. Ron, didn't you drop $700 super chat one time? Yeah, Ron Navy is the highest super chatter in an actual... Let me see if I have this somewhere. I feel like I have it. Top super chatter of all time is Ron Navy with a 765. Garrett had it for 600, I think, all of last season. And then lifetime gifted members, DW. God, I don't know. This isn't one show. Hey, Perps, you're on the phone right now. Best guesstimation as to what your top number of gifted memberships was in one given show.
You're asking like cumulative, how many I gave in one day?
In one show, the highest number. Just take an educated guess.
125?
Gifted memberships, right?
Yeah, I've given 50 on shows months ago, like twice in a row.
So
20 years.
So 375. You are on the board as the highest gifted member person. I got a thank you board right here. And anybody that's dropped, I don't know that I gotta make sure all the unicorn ones are on here too. But like people have dropped, like G Money's dropped $3.99 before Mark Cleveland dropped $4.50 once. Seth Jocelyn dropped $4.50 once. Jocelyn dropped $300 another time. Niner by Nature dropped $200. Brendan Williams dropped to $240. Landon dropped to $240. Pretty Richard dropped to $200. Michael K CPA dropped to $199. Perps dropped $375 in gifted memberships. I got that on here. He's the new leader. For gifted memberships on this board. I don't know if that will ever be broken unless Perps breaks it himself. And Ron Navy has the highest super chat of all time of 765. Appreciate everybody that's on this board. Perps, you're a maniac. What are you thinking here, Perps, on this situation? You're a Vikings fan. You're from Minnesota, right? So,
yep.
What have you heard locally? First of all, let's start there. Don't give me your opinion yet. And thank you, Silver. Appreciate you. Don't give me your opinion yet. What have you heard locally on this? Is Minnesota laughing at this? Are the Vikings fans saying, what in the hell are you smoking? Is there any sort of like fear that the Vikings could maybe do this? And don't give me your opinion quite yet. Just give me as much fact as you can.
Yeah, a lot of the local guys, they don't want him to go. They think it will be dumb if he goes. They're all convinced that Cousins and him are going to come back next year and they're going to run with what they got and play the draft how they play the draft. So
Okay, now
The majority of the local guys look at it that way, but then, JJ himself has said that even since last year, he doesn't want to leave. He wants to stay a Vikings. He loves it here and doesn't want to go anywhere else.
Like, let me just put this out there. If you were to trade Marvin Harrison Jr. for JJ straight up, it's understandable financially if you believe Marvin Harrison Jr. could be as good or better than JJ. It's not crazy. But when you start introducing all these other pieces to it, it's madness to me. It's madness. Absolute straight madness. Like the number 3 overall pick for JJ, look, it would be talked about for decades, and there'd be people on both sides of it. There'd be people saying, look, Marvin Harrison Jr. is worth it. The problem is you're taking a quarterback with this, so you can't even really equate that. And you're getting scraps. You're not even getting the top option. It's not like you're getting the number 1 overall pick in total discretion to do what you want. But if this was a conversation about Marvin Harrison Jr. versus JJ, you could make the argument financially, especially if the Vikings are moving on from Cousins. They're going to start building from the ground up, and they need to reset the clock on their number 1 wide receiver. It makes some sense, but not the way this is drawn up, and not with all these extra pieces. This is absolutely crazy. If I could get the 11, JJ, and a 25 first for one player, I'm doing it. This is absolutely madness. Straight madness. And even if you took the 11 or the 25 first out, it's still too much, because like I said, the way I equate it is if this is MHJ and JJ, that right there is a tall order to argue anyway, because of how amazing JJ is right now, and Marvin Harrison Jr. you don't know. You can only predict. You can only project. And sometimes we got to make those calls, especially if you're starting over and rebuilding. But this is just ridiculous. Colin Cowherd, and I thought this would go away. He says a lot of stupid stuff. I can't go live every time that man opens his mouth. But this has been resonating. And it's weird how there'll be people that will even break it down and say how ridiculous it is. And they'll give it a 2 or a 3 or a 4 out of 10 in terms of trade. They'll be like, yeah, it's about a 3 or a 4. I think this is not a good trade. This is a 0. This is a straight up 0. 11, JJ, a 25 first for number 3. It makes no sense whatsoever. I don't care. You can't factor in how much you're paying somebody, because that's not in the trade chart. But go ahead, Perps.
No, I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, he's just a blowhard, and he just wants his name out there and wants to have people listen to his dumb rhetoric. But JJ is going to command a lot if he is going to get traded, number 1. And number 2, the Vikings have to be smart about it. I mean, they can't dump JJ to sign a few other guys and then give Cousins this huge contract. I mean, if JJ stays, he's going to take a ton of cap space because he wants to be paid what he's worth. All the hard work he's put in and the proven work he's done, he wants big money.
I want a yes or a no, Perps, and then I'm going to go over to Ron Navy. I want a yes or a no. Okay, and you have 3 seconds to answer. Actually, you got 2 seconds to answer. 2 seconds to answer. Ready? I'm going to use my brain. And I'm going to say, you keep JJ. Okay? All you're doing is trading the 11 up to number 3 to get JD5 or whoever you want. So 11 to 3. So you're giving the 11 up to New England. You're getting their number 3. Just one move. And then you give up your 2025 first rounder. Go.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. That's the trade you make. That's the trade you make. You want to build for the future. Build it around JJ. Go get JD5. Give up a second if you've got to in conjunction with that. But you move the 11 to the 3. You give the New England Patriots. Now, we got to go over to... I'm sorry, Ron, can you hold 1 second? We got to go over to a Patriots fan. Travis is on the line. Travis, do you accept this trade offer? You get the number 11 and a 25 first rounder from the Vikings, and you got to surrender that 3 to go to 11. No?
No.
Damn it. Son of a bitch!
Smitty. Makes sense.
We almost had it. Hey, hold on, Travis. What would it take? Do you need another first rounder?
My whole thing is if the Patriots
This
are
guy's a
gonna
tough cookie.
give up that 3, they have to hold it hostage. Now, Colin Cowherd would sell his firstborn child for
Yeah.
$100, so I don't think anything keeps
Yeah.
that seriously.
For a view.
But like, if they're gonna give up the 3, I think they have to be getting like the 11 and something else in
Okay.
this draft. I don't know.
Okay, so here let me ask you another. Hold on, Perps. Hang tight. Okay, let me negotiate this. Travis, you give up the 3 overall, and you take the Minnesota Vikings 11. Okay, you get the 25 first rounder, and you get a second this year and a second next year.
I think you have to do it at that point.
We got it, boys. We got it. We got it, boys.
Too much value to.
I would have given you another first rounder, Travis.
Yep.
I would have given you another first rounder. Lock it in. Send it to the commish. Pick up the phone, Travis. Call it in. We got a trade, commish. The 11 and 3 are swapped. 25 first rounder, second this year, second next year. JJ's catching passes from JD mother freaking 5. Let's go.
Mashed potatoes.
You all need to come back to your fantasy lane.
I'm sorry, Ron Navy's on the line. I forgot.
Ron.
Ron, what were you going to say, Ron?
Ron, we were just joining you on your fantasy line.
I said you all need to come back from your fantasy land. That ain't happening.
Okay, we got a problem. The commissioner's on the phone. Ron Navy, the commissioner. What's wrong with the trade, Ron?
Angry Ron.
Angry Commissioner Ron. What's wrong with the trade? What side's getting screwed?
One thing, Vikings don't need another quarterback. All they need is Cousins.
Okay, Ron, Commissioner, you're getting a little biased here. Aside from the Cousins factor, what is wrong with the trade? Did somebody get screwed?
You're talking to the undercover owner of the Vikings and Perps. He's
That's
just
why.
bringing you along.
That's why he's doing this trade. That's why Perps is negotiating for the Minnesota Vikings, and Travis is negotiating for the New England Patriots. We got both fan bases right here.
Trying to make you feel better.
Okay, but Ron, who got screwed on the trade, or was it even? Don't worry about Cousins. Who did better? 11 down to 3, and to make that swap so the Vikings could get JD5. New England got 11. They got a 25 first and then a second this year and a second next year. What side got screwed, Ron?
Patriots.
Travis, you just did the deal.
The screwed. They need that number 3 to get themselves a quarterback.
I thought you were asking if the Patriots would do it.
Oh,
Would
okay.
I do it personally? No.
Okay, so let me re-ask the question one more time. Just would you do it if it was an additional first rounder, a 26 first rounder? So I'm not saying that this move would happen, but if you said hold it ransom, would you trade the 11 down to 3 for 2 first rounders, 25 and 26? Let's say you had to give back a second. Would you do that?
No, I wouldn't.
Okay, you would. Perps, would you give up an additional first rounder to move from 11 to 3?
Yeah, and here's why. The Vikings have been trying to get a solid quarterback. Cousins isn't a lifelong quarterback. He doesn't have many years left if he does stay with the Vikings. And they've missed out before, and this is, in my opinion, one of the better quarterback drafts in a long time. And I feel the Vikings did what they did last year in the draft and held off until this year because they want to get a good quarterback. But that's me.
Can I make an offer to Perps?
Yeah, make an offer to Perps. Go ahead. New England's got an offer. Minnesota, hang on. Go ahead, New England.
So it's the
And
11th.
time's up. You lose.
Go ahead, New England.
Ron, I know you're mad about the Steelers, all right? But hold on.
Yeah.
No, it has
11
nothing to do
pick.
with the Steelers.
Go ahead, Travis. Go ahead.
11 pick, 2025 first, and give us Jordan Addison.
Woo!
No way!
Hey, Commissioner.
No,
Commissioner, shut up. Hold on. Okay, the commissioner's related to Jordan Addison. Don't get him involved. Okay, Minnesota gets the 3 overall. Okay,
I'm out fines for
New England gets the number 11. New England gets the number 11, 25 first, and Addison. Perps, do you accept the trade?
No.
Oh, he says no.
Too much.
He says no. He doesn't want to get. He'd rather give up the additional first rounder, not Addison. So him and Ron are probably on the same page in terms of Addison's value. Okay. So you have a counter offer, New England, or
give him
Perps.
give him this year's third rounder too. Like
Hey, can
105,
I don't think that's gonna. Perps doesn't move for third rounders. Hey, Perps, would you do this trade? Would you do the number 11 and Addison for the number 3?
No.
Really?
Ooh.
You value Addison over. Okay. I mean, I can't.
I do.
I can't disagree with that. I'm just asking.
With
Okay.
Hawkinson's injury and our depth at wide receiver isn't as deep. I don't see a benefit in giving up Addison. Like, that's too much for me.
Deep wide receiver draft though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Ron, did you want to?
Let me add the 3, and 11, and I'll give you a different pick and Addison.
Okay, so no 11, and you give up a 25 first and Addison.
No.
Yeah, Travis.
Yep.
You do that?
No, the 11 has. No.
Oh.
I didn't say yeah. No.
Okay.
11 has to be in the deal.
What about a 20?
3.
What about a 24 first? Here, let me come up with something right here. 24 second, 25 second, Addison, and the 25 first for number 3.
Nope, I need a first rounder
Woo!
this year.
Woo!
Yeah, that's a lot of dice there, Trav. A lot of dice.
Ron,
You just said you guys
Ron?
are desperate for a quarterback.
Ron, I want you to plug your nose, Ron. Plug your nose and answer the question.
Hold on. As the commissioner, I fine $1 million
Ooh.
to Travis. I suspend him for 2 years for.
This commissioner sounds as corrupt as the real one.
Yeah. I suspend you for
Sounds like
2 years
I gotta.
for
For what?
taking advantage.
Trav's going to need the real El Press to go sit in.
Okay, I'm just trying to. I'm not saying these are all legit trades. I'm just trying to find everyone's value. We've got 2 fan bases here. Okay, so, Travis, you wouldn't take a 25 first, a 24 second, a 25 second, and Addison for number 3. You wouldn't take that, right?
No, because it's no. Looking at the the fan base would go
Okay.
off their rocker. You wouldn't have a fan
Let
base.
me ask one more, and the only reason I'm asking this question is because you could essentially replace Addison with the number 11 overall pick, Perps, if you kept that 11. So if you took Neighbors or a Dunze, then you're kind of covered there. So I'm just out of curiosity, 25 first and a 26 first, just for value's sake, would you take that, Travis? Because I know you want the 11, I know you want value now, but would you take a 25 first, a 26 first, and an Addison for the number 3 overall pick? I'm just trying to gauge your interest.
26 and Addison.
Yes.
Probably because I could probably move back into the first round this year with that.
Okay, I'm not saying that's a feasible one. I'm trying to push everybody to their limit. Perps, would you accept that? Would you take the number 3 overall for a 25 first, 26 first, and Addison? I don't even know if the Vikings have their 25. I'm just throwing stuff around.
Right.
Yeah, I would do that.
It's so funny. Everyone's gonna view this differently. These fan bases are always gonna have their difference of opinions too. Ron, cook up a fair trade. You got to plug your nose. Let's pretend Cousins decided to retire. Okay, what is the fair trade you would cook up for both these sides? Give me the best. My opinion was that number 11 goes to New England.
Well, you want
The number
you're gonna
3.
say-
Okay, go ahead, Ron. This is mine. Go ahead, Ron.
They swapped this year's pick, 3 and 11, and they give up a first round next year and a second round next year, and that's the good value for the third round.
I agree, and that's what I was willing to do. That was my first idea, was that Minnesota gets the 3, they give up the 11, they give up a future first, they give up a second. Or they just give up the future first. That was my original idea. But you throw in the second, that's fine. This is the best move right here. I know Travis doesn't want to hear that, but let's be honest, bro. I mean, like, is it possible that something like this gets done? Yeah, it is, right? New England is possible. It's also possible Minnesota does something stupid too. Like, that's certainly possible. But I think if you get JD5 throwing to Addison and Justin Jefferson and Hawkinson, and your window that was kind of wide open with Cousins, that felt like it was wide open during the regular season, didn't feel wide open during the playoffs, although I guess you could say that's not fair because Cousins was playing great. We don't know how he would have finished if he didn't tear his Achilles. But coming back from an Achilles tear, the fact that they haven't felt like they had enough juice to get past round 1 of the playoffs anyway, or that they crapped the bed near the end of the year, I think that you're almost giving yourself not only the ability to rebuild, you have a total future, squad right here in a JD5, brand new young rookie quarterback. JJ's 25. Addison is, 1 year into his career, and you get also the chance to compete right now. I think JD5, we've seen AR5 do well, Stroud do well. I think AR5 would have been almost near as good as Stroud all year long. Rookie quarterbacks can come in and thrive right away. That's the NFL. And I think JD5 with those 3 pass catchers, if you include Hawkinson, sky's the limit. Sky's the absolute limit. No. This would be an absolute home run for the Minnesota Vikings. JJ does not need to be involved. This is stupidity on screen by Colin Cowherd, and I don't see how there's any sort of way in hell something like this is happening right on screen on the left side of my face.
So the one thing I'll say, though, is like, that I could see it happening, but I know, and that side is awesome for the Vikings. Tell me what that really does. Like, if you're building the Patriots, tell me what that does really for the Patriots, though.
If, let's say you love,
okay,
I'll tell you. Let's say you're me, and you say to yourself, I actually love Bo Nix, or I actually love Michael Penix Jr., or McCarthy falls to that territory, which he may or may not. McCarthy's value is climbing really high. Then you still got a potential quarterback that some might argue is number 3 overall anyway. So if you are New England and you do view Penix Jr. as the 3rd best player in the entire draft, and I know a lot of people are going to think that's crazy, but we have a lot of pro days in workouts and combine to regain the value people are saying that these Bo Nix and Penix Jr. have lost because of the Senior Bowl and this and that. So we'll have to wait and see. There's still a lot of opportunity for you to get your quarterback and actually not be like even the leftover scraps. It could just be that's your guy. If New England doesn't see that in Michael Penix Jr. or McCarthy or Bo Nix, then yeah, it would probably be a big mistake for them to even do it. They probably wouldn't do it because they've never had control like this before. Not to mention Bill Belichick's not at the helm. So it's a different thinking. It's not going to be, okay, look what they did with Mac. This might be like, we're going to get this guy. We like a running quarterback. We want, JD5. And I love JD5. If it were me, bro, I can tell you right now, I would win a Super Bowl within 3 years or burn the entire franchise to the ground. One or the other. I at least admit there's 2 outcomes. I would trade for Justin Fields and I'd draft Marvin Harrison Jr. That's what I would do if I was the New England Patriots. Or I would draft Marvin Harrison Jr. and or I'd draft JD5 and I'd trade future draft capital to get back in and draft Odunze or draft Neighbors or even maybe Bowers. But I would really want one of those wide receivers. But I would sacrifice some future to pair JD5 with Neighbors, JD5 with Odunze. I would have JD5 and Odunze or Fields and Marvin Harrison, and I would accept nothing less. If I was a New England Patriot decision maker and I made all the calls, I would accept nothing less. Absolutely zero less. And I'd either
my
win
point.
or I'd burn it to the ground.
Right. So that's my larger point is I could see, because I don't know what this new front office is going to do. I could see him doing something like that. I wouldn't do that. I would hold that pick hostage for, something ridiculous like a JJ or a couple high picks, or I would just go and take the more talented guys, a JD5, a Marvin Harrison, something like that. I'd rather that.
Isaac says they won't trade for Fields. You don't know that. It's a whole different coaching staff now. It's not like, you can't look at the Patriots the same way. The Patriots could trade for Fields if they wanted to. If it were me, I would. And again, I answered the question how I would handle it. I would either win a Super Bowl in 3 years or I'd burn it to the ground. And I think Fields and Marvin Harrison Jr. are probably the best change you could make. That is flipping this thing upside down. And if you couldn't get, and you could, because I think Fields is right now a second rounder, feels like the highest someone's going to pay. If you give 2 second rounders and you overpay just to get it done, you get him in here, you draft Marvin Harrison Jr. Nobody can say anything about your draft. You absolutely crushed it. And yeah, you got a whole lot more players and picks to bring in, but that is absolutely phenomenal. Pop Douglas is not a number 1 wide receiver, but he makes a darn good wide receiver too. You've got a free agent running back buffet here that you're going to be able to get something pretty cheap. You're going to be able to get a Eckler or a Swift, a Pollard. Yeah.
Ramondre's still there.
Yeah. Like if you wanted to add like another piece or whatever.
Yep.
And Ramondre bounce back season's in full effect. You might see Ramondre on a little list. I don't have it queued up, but I have been working on potentially putting Ramondre on a certain list. And if JD5 goes to New England, I think it's bounce back season. But you could bring in like a 1-2 punch. If you had if you have Marvin Harrison Jr. and Fields, and let's say you just brought in Eckler anyway. I'm not saying I love Eckler, but you had Eckler in there. I'm not saying that's good for Ramondre, but you could bring in you could bring in so many weapons if you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody ripping on Fields like it's so ridiculous, man. Like Fields is.
Who says you can get JD5 with number 6 though?
Well, if you don't, you get Drake May, yeah. And you got to be okay with that. You got to be okay with that.
What if Drake May is not the guy?
I agree.
Actually, honestly,
I agree.
I'm being totally honest. I do this speculation. This is my opinion. That doesn't. I know everybody has other opinions, but I don't think there is a Stroud in this draft class as a quarterback. I don't think you're going to see any of these guys even get close to what Stroud did last year. I highly doubt it.
It might be hard because Stroud's a once in a life, not lifetime, once in a couple decades even type of like rise. I mean, yeah. So could there be one? Yeah, there could be one. I think there's one top 8 quarterback, but could there be one Stroud? Stroud's looking like top 4 or 5. Some would say top 1 to 2. So
I wouldn't mind Minnesota. They already have a rookie quarterback that they can develop. But if they don't believe in him, then they can go after one of these other guys. But sit him behind Cousins. Keep Cousins. Sit him behind Cousins because their best chance to win a Super Bowl is with Cousins playing. Bottom line.
I disagree. But
chemistry's all there. You disagree because you don't see it in Cousins. You don't want to believe it.
But Ron, they haven't. It's not just me. It's not just me though. It's not just me.
I disagree.
It's not just me though. It's not just me though, Ron. They can't. They're like a watered down version of the Dallas Cowboys in terms of
they're not
taking it that distance.
Look at how from last year to this year. Look at how much their defense improved, leaps and bounds. Because they're last year their defense was one of the worst. This year their defense played really good. So if they could do that over the course of 1 year with their defense, they keep their core offense. In the biggest thing they got to find is they got the running back situation since they got rid of Cook. I was a little skeptical with Madison. It's not the same, but they're ready to go.
I just disagree. But
one of my favorite teams. but I mean, I love the Vikings.
We know
love
that.
what they
We know you
have.
love the Vikings. You're
No,
very pro Minnesota Viking. You're very pro Minnesota Viking, but I don't. But Ron, I don't think I'm alone. You could say I'm biased, but I don't think I am. I think you're the biased one because I'm not alone.
No.
Ask the audience. Audience, are the Minnesota Vikings capable of winning a Super Bowl with Kirk Cousins? Let's see what they say.
Other than this year when he got injured,
Okay.
you name me one season that Cousins hasn't thrown for over 4,000.
That doesn't matter. That doesn't equate to championships, Ron. Let's ask the audience. Who here thinks the Vikings can win a Super Bowl with Kirk Cousins? Yes or no? And let's see who's the biased one.
And Burrow hasn't won a Super Bowl yet either, has he?
What's that have to do with
25
anything?
years old.
Well, you're a big Burrows fan. You love Burrows, but he hasn't won anything either. So there's no telling. Hey,
But Ron,
can Burrow win a Super Bowl? We don't
that is
know.
Ron. There's nothing to do with the argument. You can't
Heck,
just.
Burrow went to one and
Ron,
done.
it
He
has
never got another
Ron.
chance,
That
so Burrow
that doesn't help your argument though. Like even if you
Sure it does.
no, it doesn't. It has nothing to do with it. Burrow has nothing to do with this conversation. Burrow has zero to do with it. Zero.
You are so biased against Cousins. It's not even.
I'm
funny.
not biased against Cousins. Burrow has nothing to do with it. Why would Burrow? Why bring Burrow into it? What's Burrow have? Just because you want to say, well, Burrow's not. He's going to fail too. Great. That's a whole different debate. That's a whole different debate, though, Ron. Burrow could fail.
And he's injury.
But that has nothing to do
Burrow's
with Kirk Cousins
injury.
winning a championship.
Hey, you don't
Burrow
want to believe in Cousins. I mean, what about Burrow? He's injury prone and he
Didn't
hasn't
Burrow
won
make it to
Super
a
Bowl. Yep.
championship?
He could be the next Marino. Go once and never
Ron.
go again.
Ron, they have nothing to do with each other.
Sure they do. You don't think Cousins can win a Super Bowl? I think maybe Burrow can't win a Super Bowl.
Oh man,
That's not the argument.
it has nothing to do with
And
it.
how is Burrow going to win a Super Bowl when he
Good.
can't get through Mahomes and can't
Fine,
get through Allen?
fine. Ron, let's pretend that I agreed with you and I don't. But let's pretend I agree with you. Burrow can't win a Super Bowl. Okay, can we get back on point and say, can Kirk Cousins win a Super Bowl? Because Burrow has nothing to do with it.
Sure he can.
Burrow can win a Super Bowl.
Sure he can. He has all the talent in the world. To
Okay,
win a Super Bowl.
Kirk old as F compared to Burrow. Okay, Burrow's nothing to do with it. Burrow's nothing to do with it. I don't even want to make the argument. I don't even want to go down the rabbit hole with Ron about Burrow being better than Cousins because that has nothing to do with it. Can Kirk Cousins win a championship in Minnesota? I say no.
Yes.
I know you say
I
yes.
say yes.
I say no. What does the audience think? Let's
I
see.
say yes.
Let's see.
I don't think that's the thing.
Cousins window is out. Ron with the embolism. Why? Yeah. People expect more out of guys named Joe. No. Cousins probably has less arm strength than Matt Ryan. Cousins is Aaron Rodgers, risk territory. I'm reading them straight up. I'm not skipping anyone. Probably not. They need more experience and defense. I hear defense wins championships. Burrow has at least been to a Super Bowl. But again, I'm not even bringing those things up Burrow has nothing to do with it because the whole topic is can Kirk Cousins win a championship? Not, hey, can Kirk Cousins win a championship? If Burrow can't, it's okay. It's nothing to do with Burrow.
Isn't it okay to have different opinions?
Yeah.
Yeah. But he always trashes my opinion.
I'm not
He's always
trashing.
trashing Cousins.
I'm not
Man, he can't
trashing
do
your
it.
opinion.
Yes.
Ron, go watch the replay, Ron. Go watch the replay. Go watch the replay. You started off by saying you're biased, you just hate Cousins or whatever, and that got me saying I'm not biased. I don't think Cousins can win a championship. That's all I said. I wasn't trashing your take. When have I trashed your take?
As much as I'd like Cousins to win a Super Bowl in Minnesota, he doesn't have it.
All right, let's listen to Perps for a
Why
second.
are you always trying to get the Vikings team? Stop dismantling them.
Go ahead.
I'd rather you dismantle the other team than the Vikings team.
Go ahead, Perps. Talk about your Vikings.
Ron, I don't think anyone here disagrees with you that Kirk Cousins is a good, steady Eddie quarterback, but Kirk Cousins does not have the killer instinct in him to win a game when it comes to the bottom line to getting in the Super Bowl. He doesn't have what it takes. He's a good quarterback to be there all year, but I don't think...
Are you a real true Vikings fan? He led him back to the biggest comeback in NFL history last year. The biggest one ever in history. What do you mean he doesn't have him in
And
it?
Justin Jefferson
Come on.
did that.
You're not a true Vikings fan. Don't tell me you are with that take.
Ron, people can have different opinions. And just because he wants to move on, but Ron, this is the part where I don't think you hear what other people are really saying. He said Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback, a steady Eddie quarterback. No one's arguing that he's not good. But is he going to win a championship? Perps doesn't think so.
He can.
You're literally the
He
only.
can.
But Ron, you're maybe 1 to 5% of everybody watching right. But Ron, hold on a second. Ron, hold on a second.
Cousins sure as hell can.
Ron, hold on a second. There's 126 people in here. Does anybody
I don't
feel
care how many
okay?
people on this. I don't care if they all disagree with me.
Okay,
I
so
don't care. It doesn't matter. You know that. You got me into rain syndrome right now. You got me on. Oh man, you just with this cousin stuff. You better move on to a different team.
you're the one that's brought it up. You're the one that went after my take.
No,
You are the one that did it, Ron. I didn't say. Okay, let me ask a question. Let me ask a question. Hold on a second.
So bad.
Hold on a second. And answer honestly. I won't get mad. Perps, did I trash his take? No, hold on. Did I trash his take at any moment? Did I say, Ron, your take's awful? You said I trashed your take. You're the one that said you're biased against Cousins. You've never liked him. You're the one talking about, that's trashing my take, saying my take is wrong because it's bias. I haven't said a single thing about your take.
Okay, we're trashing each other's take. Okay.
I'm not trashing your take. But I'm not trashing your take. I have not.
You're saying he can't, and I'm saying he can.
Ron, you're seeing red.
And you know what? I would love nothing else. I would rather this next year, if Cousins stays with the Vikings, I hope the Vikings go to the Super Bowl. I'd be willing. I wish, if it meant the Steelers hadn't to not win one game all year long, I'd take that to get the Vikings to the with Kirk Cousins. Just to prove
Ron, there's not a single Minnesota fan that doesn't disagree with you. There's people here that would mortgage their kid to get the Vikings to the Super Bowl with Kirk Cousins. But the vast majority of people in town talking about it don't see a future with Kirk Cousins.
The only problem is the Vikings. They've never won the Super Bowl. They're almost as bad as the Buffalo Bills, going 4 straight years and losing. They've won 4 times and lost every single time also.
All right, hey, let's move on because Ron, I think you took everything completely the way it wasn't going.
I always do.
I know you do.
When we start talking about the Vikings, we start talking about trading and bringing in new quarterbacks and all that. You knew it was coming. You know where I go with this. I always do.
I know that,
because
but
I believe it.
But what's funny is you take someone's opinion as trashing yours, or you take someone's opinion as it has to go that way, or how could, like you just said to Perps, he can't be a Vikings fan because his opinion doesn't match yours. So you're trashing his take. You're trashing my take by saying you just hate Cousins and you're just against him. You're biased. So your take can't possibly be real or good because it's rooted in bias. So what I'm saying is never once have I said anything about your take being bad.
Over 30 touchdowns almost every single year. And you just put him in this little mediocre pile, and he's not mediocre.
No one said he was. You're hearing things that you
He's
want to
fully
hear
capable.
to make the argument you want to make.
He's fully capable. Hell, if you can have quarterbacks like Purdy and Plunkett and all these other old-time quarterbacks making
We're not
the Super
talking
Bowl,
about any of
why
them.
can't Kirk Cousins go to the Super Bowl?
Right,
winning?
you're bringing up things that don't matter. You're bringing up things that don't matter. Can Kirk Cousins win a Super Bowl? I say no.
I'm gonna
Perps.
throw Cousins into you, buddy. And when he shows out, man, you guys will never hear the end.
But
You
what
might as well
happens?
not even
What
answer
happens?
your phone.
What
When
happens
when
if
the
he does?
Vikings go to the Super Bowl and win it with Cousins, you might as well never answer your phone again because every single phone call is going to be me going, ah!
So what? Okay.
No!
So what happens if it doesn't happen? Then what happens? Every time you answer the phone, are we all gonna just go?
If Cousins stays with the Vikings and they don't go to the Super Bowl, then I'll bet I was wrong.
That's all we get. How about this, Ron? Since you get to laugh at us all day long, every time you call up, you get to go every time you call up on the phone line. If they don't win the Super Bowl, and Cousins doesn't go back to Minnesota, every time we answer your call, an intro will play. Go, you were wrong about the Minnesota Vikings. You were wrong about the Kirk Cousins, and it'll play this little 30-second intro whenever you call in. It's fair is fair.
Okay, you make it up. Go ahead, I don't care.
Oh, here's
That's
the
how
thing.
much I
Here's the thing. Real quickly, Ron. Here's the thing. No one in here on this phone line, Travis, me, and Perps, trashed your take even once. Even once. You did trash Perps and my take pretty hardcore, and you said that we trashed your take. Different opinions are okay. You love Kirk Cousins, but every time I open my mouth about Kirk Cousins, you act like we've never had the conversation before. It's like, you just don't like Kirk Cousins. Every single time you take us down this rabbit hole. Every single time you drag us down.
You know, it's the same thing.
Sure, he
I
said he
think
was
part
the
of
top
it
10
also
quarterback.
that you downplayed Addison. Addison's a great receiver. Addison could thrive with Cousins there because Cousins has a history of being able to carry 2 or 3 receivers at a time. He did it with Diggs. He made
So
Diggs.
when they don't bring him back, what is going to be said then?
Gillen.
What is going to
He
be
made
said when they
JJ.
don't bring him back?
Addison.
When they don't bring him back, what's going to be said? They screwed up, and he could have been this, he could have been that. We have no, Ron. They've been trying to replace him for years, regardless of what you think of him. Doesn't matter how good he was. He tore his Achilles tendon. No one's saying it. I know you're going to bring up Aaron Rodgers. Well, you like Aaron Rodgers. I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers is a lock. I think Salah's got to have a backup plan. I think Robert Saleh, I've said it a bunch of times on the show, should draft Michael Penix Jr. And that just to tell A-Rod, let's prepare the future while you're here. And it's your team, A-Rod, but we have to make this move. Look what happened last year. I don't think you can say all the things you're saying with such confidence when this man is currently recovering from an Achilles tear at a ripe age in his 30s. He's not a young spring chicken coming back from an Achilles tear. Same thing goes for Aaron Rodgers. There's a lot of risk involved. And I don't think this team is wanting to go down the road of an Achilles torn quarterback.
An age quarterback. You cannot do that. It's not the same as running back. Quarterbacks have successfully played well into their 40s. Hell, I mean, Brady played into his 50s, so there you go. It's not the same. Age doesn't matter with the quarterbacks. As long as their arm is still active 50s. And they can still, and he's a pocket passer. He's not a running quarterback by any means. He can survive. He can last. Age doesn't bother me.
Ziggy, how old is Tom Brady? Last I heard, he's 46. Ziggy, max volume.
Well, he wants to play.
Ziggy, how old is Tom Brady?
Tom Brady is 46 years old.
How do you play into his 50s?
3rd, 1977.
Well, it's mine playing 50s. Let's go.
Ron.
And then you're going for Cousins won the Super Bowl.
They're played well into his
Mighty
50s.
Ron.
Oh,
So
Ron.
back on track.
Who was the oldest quarterback to play in the NFL? How old?
Good luck, Burns.
Moving on.
Good luck, Burns.
Okay, anyway. Anybody else wants to call in? The phone lines are open. Good Lord. Good Lord, Ron.
Everyone's afraid to call in. They don't want to have to listen to Ron.
Oh, man. Phone lines in the top corner of the screen here. Again, we're talking about the rumor that's garbage by Colin Cowherd, who kicked out this stupid trade proposal, and everybody ran with it, talked about it, kept retweeting it, kept discussing it, kept talking about it as if, you know, there's versions of this, like really close versions that make sense, and people graded it as a 3, a 4 out of 10. It's a 0. Ron's giving me heartburn.
Take abysmal.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
I will.
I'm always passionate about
I didn't
it.
even-
You know that everybody loves to give me crap about Cousins and all that. But
Is that what we call it? Passionate?
yeah. What do?
Very passionate.
Well, Ron, when no one else agrees with you, I think you can't say it like with the conviction you do, as if.
I'm on the island all by myself.
But wouldn't you take being on the island by yourself as a like you guys will see versus I can't believe you.
I don't care. I don't care what everybody else thinks. I only care how I look at it and how I see it.
Well, you just tried to say Perps wasn't a real Vikings fan though because he didn't share your opinion.
Yeah, he doesn't see it. He doesn't see it.
But therefore you're saying you are right. But Ron, how stubborn is that though? But Ron, how stubborn is that?
It doesn't matter.
How stubborn is that though? If he thinks that he,
when it comes to Cousins, I'll defend him to the end of the
I
earth
know
and
you will.
twice on Sunday.
I know you will.
On the Dynasty channel, I'm burning the bunk beds down.
Perps no longer wants
That's
to
fine.
share.
You're in the top bunk, so you'll burn first. Keep rising, buddy.
They're talking about.
Who says I'm in the bunk bed? There's plenty of room for activities. I'll be doing something else. Don't touch my drum set.
Hey, don't forget. I spent 20 years in the Navy in those stupid racks that you can hardly fit in. Don't bother me a bit.
But Smitty,
I just like
so
how-
back to JJ though.
Yeah.
Vikings can't trade him because it'll be another Herschel Walker trader, just like when they got rid of Randy Moses.
Maybe
Can't
they
do it.
they may trade him though. They like I said, if they could get their quarterback situation resolved without using the 3 pick, you know, or figure out how to get their quarterback using JJ and then draft Marvin Harrison Jr., then it becomes an option. Like is the only way this becomes feasible to me, and I don't even like it. I'm just telling you numbers wise, is if you're replacing JJ with Marvin Harrison Jr. or your quarterback and you're getting Marvin Harrison Jr. with your 3 with your 3 pick if you're getting that or whatever. Like it's there's a lot of different ways it could go, but if you're taking this let's say you're keeping the 11 and you're just getting the 3 for JJ, you're taking your quarterback here, you're taking Marvin Harrison Jr. here. If they went Odunze and JD5, I still like that though. But that's your only argument. But like this whole like notion of giving up a whole bunch of extra stuff with it is stupid. It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to give up a ton of stuff to make it happen.
Yeah.
And like Travis said on New England, and I don't think New England's just going to give it up for nothing either. So.
I just don't like I said earlier to everybody, I value JJ more than the 3 and the 11 together. But that's me. And I know that teams are different when you can start over with the Marvin Harrison Jr. on a rookie deal. I get it. And that's the biggest problem here is if the Vikings feel, if they don't agree with Ron, that they could bring Kirk Cousins back and win a championship, they feel like we're moving on from Kirk Cousins, so we're going to probably need to rebuild. We're not going to win anything anytime soon. And if we wait, we're going to have to pay this man through the roof. And then we start losing other pieces. So let's start over with Marvin Harrison Jr. But again, you can only do that if you're drafting Marvin Harrison Jr. and also getting your quarterback. Now, maybe it's... I mean, again, it would be with me. It would be Fields. Like even then, if I'm the Minnesota Vikings, and let's say I trade JJ for the 3 pick, and then I take Marvin Harrison Jr. with the 3 pick. Okay, now I've got Marvin Harrison Jr. and Addison, and then I trade second rounders, 2 of them for Fields. Now you've got a potential championship team right then and right there. Because you know, but you don't. Is it necessarily better, to Ron's argument? Is it better than what they had? Maybe not, maybe not. But at least you have a championship caliber team you could cultivate, and maybe in a couple of years it gets there. You build around it, you keep coaching it up. Is it better out of the gate? Maybe not, but maybe it is. I mean, maybe Fields with Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, keep in mind how good Jamar Chase was his rookie year. Keep in mind, like if MHJ is the number 1 overall wide receiver in the National Football League by the end of his rookie season, then who knows what you could do with Fields, Marvin Harrison Jr., Addison, Hawkinson. So, like, that would be the only way this makes sense to me. Other than that, nothing makes sense. You have to solve your quarterback solution. Same thing on the New England side, though. You can't go get this number, with this number 3, go get Marvin Harrison Jr. and not go get Fields, not go get Kirk Cousins, not go get something that allows you to have, you know, some ability to throw to MHJ. You can't just, you know.
Right.
What makes Fields so good?
What, Ron?
What makes Fields so good other than he can run with the ball? Because he fumbles the ball a lot, he turns it over a lot, he throws a lot of interceptions. He's had decent wide receivers that went out and got it, he's still throwing interceptions. So what really makes Fields so valuable other than
You just
run the ball?
Go ahead, what, Perps?
Sounded just like Cousins.
Ronnie saying you just described Cousins is what Perp said.
No, Cousins can't run the ball that good, but he can sure throw the heck out of the ball with accuracy. Other than like Fields, can't throw with accuracy.
I mean, there's a lot of
And he
people.
turns the ball over.
Can we get another phone caller in here? Let's get a fresh perspective on Kirk Cousins. I want to hear somebody call in. I don't care what side you're on.
I wasn't talking about Cousins that time. I was asking
Okay,
a question.
then let's have a I want somebody to call in and debate why Justin Fields is worth trading for if you're the Minnesota Vikings versus bringing Kirk Cousins back. I want some fresh caller to argue in favor of Fields to Minnesota. If you call into the phone line and you're not arguing Fields to Minnesota, because I want to hear a good argument, we're gonna disconnect. Not to be a biased take. I just want to hear somebody, because I could argue it, Travis could argue it, Perps could argue it. I want to hear a fresh take on Fields. Or if you want to debate against Fields, too, go ahead. Either way, Fields argument come into the chat. Yeah.
Can I just chime in one thing real quick? If I was a Vikings, now Perps, you know, he's a fan, he knows the team better. I'd be happy with Fields, but I'd prefer if I could get up to one of those top 3 quarterbacks, taking one of them and being able to reset with a young quarterback.
Take
That's just
Fields
me,
on New England.
I agree, Travis.
Take Fields on New England.
I want Fields on New England. I mean, I'd be happy with May or JD5 too, but I've said all along I want Fields and Marvin Harrison for New England, and I'm happy.
All right, hold on a second. Hold on a second, guys. 570 caller. What is your name? 570. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling.
What's your name, bro?
Alex.
Alex?
Yeah, what's up?
What's up, Alex? What did you want to debate? The Fields topic?
Yeah, exactly.
Go ahead.
Because you're talking about him going to Minnesota, right?
Go, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you want me to go, or?
Yeah.
All right, hold on. I gotta take that off. No, yeah. I mean, they're obviously going to trade Fields if they get Caleb Williams, so it's like Minnesota, like you look at Fields, right? The guy is saying like, oh, all he does is run the ball. He actually played good last half of the season. And can you sit here and say that Chicago was a competent team offensively with their coaching and everything like that? It's like at some point you got to take a chance on this guy. He was a first-round talent. He's shown a lot of flashes. Everybody counted him out in the early part of the season, and now everyone's ready to give up on him. Yeah, I feel like at some point, like you just got to really dig deep and look at what he's good at, and he's really good at a lot of things. That's all I got to say, but thanks, Smitty.
Yeah, hey, real quickly. Oh, he just hung up. Okay. Matt O says... Matt O said Fields is not worth losing JJ. No one's saying that, Matt O. The conversation was, if you're the Minnesota Vikings, you either keep JJ and you trade second rounders for Fields or whatever, 2 seconds or a second, whatever it costs to get Fields, and he throws to JJ. Or you trade JJ for the number 3 overall pick and some deal that gets you Marvin Harrison Jr. and you go trade for Fields. Those are the two scenarios we're painting. And Ron was just saying, how is that better than Cousins? And I would take Fields over Cousins if I'm building for the future in a millisecond. I would take Fields over Cousins for 2024 alone because of the Achilles tear. And that, again, that doesn't mean that I'm solidly confident that Aaron Rodgers isn't going to have some problems too. I'm worried about that. I really, really like where both of them can be come day one, and I think they will be healthy. But when we're talking about the Vikings from a long-term perspective, like if you said, hey, do you like JJ with Cousins in week 1 or JJ with Fields in week 1? My answer is Cousins. I think Cousins is, we know what's going on with JJ. That's a whole different argument. JJ and Cousins have a great rapport. We know what to expect. But for the long term, I don't know what Cousins holds. They're trying to get rid of him at every turn. They constantly are exploring it. They wanted AR5 hardcore last year, and that didn't work out. They've been trying to go younger at QB, and I just think if you're trying to do that, you either do it with Fields or you do it with some rookie like JD5, and you don't just continue to go down the road of Kirk Cousins, which hasn't led you anywhere at the end of the day besides looking really good during the regular season for spots. Now, maybe Ron's right. Maybe, and I even said that, Ron, that's the part that really, I guess, frustrated me, is I even said, now, was it fully fair because Cousins did seem to be in a certain groove different than normal? JJ was even catching touchdowns from Kirk Cousins, which wasn't their usual, deal. It's usually a lot of yards, and we're wondering why Julio Jones and Justin Jefferson, two of the best receivers to ever play the game, are incapable of getting touchdowns when they're clearly good possession receivers. JJ started to score more a little bit. It looked like that rapport near the end zone or in the red zone or near the goal line was different, and there was a possibility. I think it's a little unfair to say Kirk Cousins couldn't have done better things than before had he finished the year, but he tore his Achilles tendon. Like, I don't think you could just assume he will be 100% this year and be the same. And I also don't think a team should be willing or wanting to give him a monster mega deal. And when they're sitting there going, the clock's ticking on this guy JJ. Like, we gotta move. We gotta move. We can't, if we don't believe what Ron believes, that Kirk's gonna play for 15 years more, because it's into his 50s, then I mean, what do you do? What do? You plan on 1 to 2 years? Look at the Jets. The Jets are worried about that. Now they got Aaron Rodgers. They don't know how to plan for the future. The Jets are scared to death. I can see it in Salah's eyes. He doesn't know what the hell to do because Aaron Rodgers may or may not last. They need to get another quarterback in there to back him up like Penix Jr. and just be prepared. Rattler, whoever, get somebody in there just in case A-Rod goes down. This Minnesota Viking team is not going to give Kirk Cousins a mega deal come off an Achilles tear. I just don't see it.
In 8 games, Cousins threw for almost as many yards as Fields did for a whole year, and also threw for more touchdowns than Fields did for a whole year in 8 games.
Fields missed 4 games. Fields only played 12 or 13. And he doesn't have Justin Jefferson or Hawkinson.
Yeah, that's okay, right? DJ Moore is great wide receiver. We
Yeah,
all said
Fields turns him into a great
Yep, there's
wide
one.
receiver. Fields does a good job turning him into it. I think you could argue that Fields could fail, Ron. I don't think anybody in here is going to say Fields is a lock and they put their home on the line. No one's put. No.
More interceptions. Fields sits there. He's had 10, 11, and 9 interceptions. He's had several fumbles. He hasn't even had a year above 25. I mean, he's 1 year where this last year he threw for 2,562 yards.
Yeah, but I think the argument, Ron, is that he's been disabled in Chicago. That's as simple as it is. You either think, okay, going somewhere else he's going to get matured.
That's what they thought about Trubisky.
Trubisky has nothing to do with it, Ron.
Oh.
Nothing to do with it. You can't keep just bringing in Joe Burrow and Trubisky. They're separate people. They're nothing. Joe Burrow had nothing to do with any of this. Like, you can't just bring in Joe Burrow. Like, you can't just bring. I mean,
Nothing
you can't.
Nothing good in quarterbacks comes out of Chicago.
Look, they said that about Cincinnati. Look at Joe Burrow now. They said that about Houston. Look at Houston now. You can't use that.
There's been other quarterbacks come out of Cincinnati that have been good.
But Andy
Dalton.
Dalton. Come on. Everyone said the Bengals are the Bengals for years, and you'll never change. You can't just keep throwing that out. Eventually, tides change.
Sure I can.
Okay. Sure you can, but it doesn't make sense.
Sure it does.
Do anything you want, right? Anything you put your mind to.
Teams got a certain way of I mean, as far as their management goes, that's why they don't make the pinnacle of success, because they keep doing the same mistakes over and over and over and over again.
Well, all right.
Why do you
They
think
can't develop a quarterback.
all these years for Detroit to even go far into the playoffs? Because they kept doing the same thing over and over and over again.
But why did Detroit turn it around? Detroit turned it around. Like, that's my whole point. Like,
yeah, how many years did it take?
I know. That's what we're saying. It's maybe it turns around, Ron. Maybe it doesn't. But Chicago certainly isn't, in my opinion, enabling Fields to be the best that he can be. And you could look at a Chicago Bear fan. They're up until his breakout was a Week 4 game and Week 5 game. I think it was back-to-back. You heard Bear fans saying, they are horrible play calling. What are they doing with Fields? Fields barely ran the ball. They didn't use him at all like he's capable of using. It was similar to Lamar. Whenever they tried to contain Lamar and turn him into something he wasn't, Lamar didn't play well. Lamar and Fields are very similar. You've got to, just like Lamar needed Todd Monken to come into Baltimore, which they did, and they were very successful making it all the way to this point in the NFL playoffs, because Todd Monken built a system around Lamar, and Todd Monken didn't try to control Lamar, and Todd Monken set him up for success. I think the Bears have not done any of those things, and I think that he needs to go somewhere where they can do that. Now, will the Minnesota Vikings? I don't know. I'm not saying they will, but I'm just saying that if I'm a GM and you give me Fields or Cousins to build around, I'm taking the odds that Fields does develop. Now, maybe he doesn't, but I'm certainly going to bet on that over Cousins if I'm building something for the future. If I'm trying to win next year, Ron, you might not be off base, but I think they're making a determination, the organization, they're not winning a championship with Kirk Cousins. And everyone in here, I believe, agrees with that, except for you, which is fine.
What would you say if Cousins gets traded and he goes to Atlanta? Does that mean Atlanta doesn't have a chance to go to the Super Bowl with Cousins?
I don't think they'll win a Super Bowl with Cousins, but I'm just answering it. I don't think they'll win a Super Bowl with Cousins. I don't. But some of it, Ron, isn't just Cousins, and that's where you think I hate Cousins. Some of it is that it doesn't. This particular team, the way it is, just is not going to beat teams like Buffalo, KC, the Niners, the Cowboys if they're firing on all cylinders, the Eagles if they bounce back under Kellen Moore's command as OC and they get things like they're not beating those teams, in my opinion. The Vikings aren't beating those teams on any level. So
why aren't they? The Vikings beat San Francisco this year, didn't they?
One game.
In a playoff game, Ron. In a playoff game, I don't think they're going to win. Okay.
Oh my God, you're talking about one game.
So Smitty, I agree
Definitely.
with Travis, though, that the Vikings fans in general, the talk around town for years is they're sick of recycled quarterbacks. They gave Cousins a shot. He came here and didn't do it. They're not going to continue to pay him huge money. If Cousins came in and took a huge pay cut and wanted to stay with the team, people would let him stay here. But he's not going to do that. They want to go fresh. They want to go young. And they
Hold
want
on, Ron. Let
recycled
Perps talk.
quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Last year, why did the Vikings fail last year, Perps? Why did they fail? Tell me honestly, why did the Vikings fail last year, especially in the playoffs? Was it Kirk Cousins, or was it their toward the bottom defense?
Or our marginal O-line?
No, was it Cousins'
was
fault?
hurt.
But Ron,
Many pieces.
Ron, don't you think that's part of the
Many
reason?
pieces.
Well, don't you think that's part of the reason why they're saying it's not necessarily all Kirk Cousins' fault, but this isn't working? We need to rebuild. We need to build everything from the
Sure,
ground.
it's working.
Okay. Well, anyway, what do you guys? Last question here, and then I'm going to cycle everybody off. I'll be back for a Rumble and Dynasty show. Don't forget Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty. They'll double your first deposit up to $100. Not to mention, and I expect somebody on the phone line here to get one of these. Hopefully, let's just hope that somebody here gets lucky. They're giving They're giving $1 million away in airdrops to anybody with an Underdog account. So that means Ron Navy might be sitting in his recliner playing some pick'ems. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they're going to deposit $100 in his account or something like that. That's what you're looking to do. Just have an Underdog account. Wait for a potential airdrop. They're dropping $1 million to people on Sunday during the big game. There's also, if you're new to Underdog, a special Patrick Mahomes 1 yard higher. If he gets higher, 0.5. So if he gets 1 yard, that one lands. And if you're in Alabama, Colorado, Missouri, Mississippi, Tennessee, West Virginia, and Wyoming, you now have Pick'em Champions available to you. It's a different version of Pick'ems that works for those states, and those are available now. So race over to the Underdog link. I'm dropping it in the live chat right now. I'm going to pin it. They'll double your first deposit up to $100. That link is pinned in the live chat right now. It's in the description of every video. And again, all you need to qualify for $1 million, or for I think it's in $100 increments. They might do some big drop, I don't know. But there's $1 million being given away, I believe, in $100 or maybe more increments throughout the entirety of the Sunday. So I don't know. You could get multiple airdrops. You could get one big one or one little one. I don't know the details on what size, but definitely dropping. And there'll be cash bonuses in people's accounts, just airdropped in. Ron, do you have a quick higher or lower that you want to toss out? I like the Kittle for like 56 yards or something like that. I also like the what?
I only did pick'ems, and I did McCaffrey higher than 1.5 rushing or receiving. I did Rice higher than 0.5 rushing, receiving touchdown. I did Pacheco for higher than 0.5 rushing touchdown. I did the rivals Butler over Moody. I did the rivals Butler over Moody for kicking, and I did Kelsey over Ayuk.
These are the These are the two that I like. If anybody wants to use them, these are the two hires that I think are pretty darn solid for the big day, for the big game. Let me see if it's sent to me here. Here's the first one. It's Kittle higher than 47.5 receiving yards. And then the next one is Pacheco. Pacheco was higher than 69.5. Yeah. So those are the two that I love for the big game if you want two really solid hires. And then you mix it, and if you're new to Underdog, you mix it with the Patrick Mahomes higher than 1 yard, 1 total yard. All he's got to do is get 1 total yard. And if you land all 3 of these, boom. And you can throw it onto one with like 5. And get a 20 times multiplier on it. Throw a Scorcher in there, make it even increase the odds even more. But go try it out. But again, Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty. Don't be left without a chance to win some of this $1 million cash giveaway or a bonus cash giveaway. All right, let's circle around real quick. Perps, anything you want to say? Final thoughts.
If Minnesota wants a chance to do anything without totally tear down and rebuild, they need to go after a quarterback. They need to keep JJ, and they need to move forward that way, and Cousins needs to go. That's it.
I agree. And you're okay with Fields?
Yeah, I love Fields.
Okay.
Fields came here. I think it'd be great. I mean, there's plenty of other little holes that we need to fill, but if we got a good quarterback to work with JJ and Addison, we'd be worlds apart next year.
What if McCarthy, just hypothetically, he's probably not going to fall. What if McCarthy fell to 11? And let's say they let Cousins walk. Are you okay with that? Or do you like Penix Jr. a lot more? Do you like Bo Nix a little bit more? Who do you like at 11 for the Vikings? Realistically, JD5 won't fall.
Yeah, JD5 won't, but Penix or McCarthy would be good with me.
Okay. All right. You heard it there. That's Perps. Perps, appreciate you, bro. I'll give you one more toot real quick for dropping the 20 gifted memberships earlier. Appreciate you, man. All right, Travis, any final thoughts? New England Patriot, hopeful thoughts, anything like that? 190 of you in here, hit the thumb up button.
I guess I got to thank Colin Cowherd. I got to talk Patriots for once, but
yeah,
not much to talk about with them normally. But no, I would just say with the Patriots, I have no idea what they're going to do. I think they're leading quarterback because all these coaches that they've brought in, they all have backgrounds with quarterbacks, like almost all the offensive guys. So it seems like they're just loading up and are going to take whatever quarterback's there and develop them. But either way, I wouldn't give that 3 pick up unless they got, a ransom for it, because how often do you have a chance to have a top 3 pick,
Yeah.
And when there's three potential really good quarterbacks up there and a Marvin Harrison Jr. So
I don't hate.
I'd stay pat unless it was something big.
I don't hate Drake May. I just don't know how much I believe he's as good as everyone says yet. But I'm not necessarily closing the door on him. I want to see him at I reserve the right to watch pro days, workouts, combine. I think people acting like you can make these foregone conclusions sometimes with these guys every time. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes you're like, you know what? I want to see him. I want to see Penix Jr. bounce back from all the negative buzz right now. And Perp's dropping a gifted 20 exclusive memberships on screen right now on the way out the door.
Hold on. Super chat alert.
I think, what was I saying?
We're just talking about Drake May could be good if you want to see him.
Oh, yeah. So I reserve the right to be like, sometimes sometimes you don't know. I do feel like I do know about JD5, but I still reserve the right to change my mind on whether like Penix Jr. could jump above him, or maybe May does.
Yeah.
But right now, if I'm deciding right now for you, I want JD5 for you if you want success at the quarterback position. Now, I'll be honest with you, though. I'd rather JD5 go to Washington, I think, for me. Just because I love what Adam Peters is doing. I love Cliff Kingsbury. I love what they're doing in Washington. I very, very much think that this situation is absolute freaking glory over in both Atlanta and Washington. You put Dan Quinn, everybody makes fun of that coaching move, but I love the Dan Quinn move. Nothing but positive things were said about from Shanahan about Dan Quinn, about Adam Peters, of course, because he came from San Francisco, and you hear nothing but good things about Cliff Kingsbury from even Shanahan. So all the people coming in, like the Niner fan base, ripping on Cliff Kingsbury. Well, your own head coach says Kingsbury's a damn good coordinator, and he coached freaking 4 Heisman Trophy quarterbacks and also Patrick Mahomes. So, and there's a lot of buzz around Caleb Williams because, look, Kingsbury was at USC this past season, his QB coach. So, who knows what happens at this number 2 overall pick if let's say something gets swapped. But and also former Bears offensive coordinator over in Las Vegas now, who failed to use Justin Fields properly, rules kind of out the Las Vegas. You could say maybe that's why the team goes after him, because he loves Fields, but he didn't do well with Fields, so I highly doubt Vegas is trading for Fields now, because you're just going to have the same coordinator that just failed him in Chicago coming over. Like, so Las Vegas doesn't seem likely to trade for Fields. But then again, like I said, you could make an argument that, oh, he loves Fields. Fields might love him, and they just felt like that the team failed him. I don't know. You never know, but I would say that feels like it rules it out. All right, Travis, anything else?
No, that's it. I'll see you later. What did you say, Rumble later?
Rumble and the Dynasty channel later, probably. I don't know if I'll do a draft show tonight. I might try to. I don't know. Maybe on the Dynasty channel we throw a redraft link up right on the way out the door or something. But all right, Travis, later.
All right, later. Bye.
Yep. Ron Navy, any final parting words?
Yeah, grass is always greener on the other side for Perps. He won't miss Cousins until he goes. So maybe I'm hoping Cousins does go and they bring in one of these fresh new quarterbacks, because then the Vikings will go nowhere. They couldn't do it when they had Culpepper. They couldn't do it when they had McNabb. They couldn't do it when they had Randy Moss. And they couldn't do it when they had Carter on that team. I mean, Purple People Eaters all the way back. Vikings, even when they went to the Super Bowl, they've never won one. So grass is always greener on the other side. Go ahead and get rid of Cousins, because you're going to blame him for all your failures. But, I mean, all these other quarterbacks, even Brett Favre when he went there, they all lost. They all lost, and so the grass is always greener on the other side. That's all I got to say. So go ahead. I want to see Cousins go to a different team and win a Super Bowl. That's all I got.
All right, later, Ron. Appreciate you. Later. All right, let's see here. Frank says, Smitty backpedaling on Drake May. How am I backpedaling, Frank? The phone line's open. Call in and tell me to my face how I'm backpedaling on Drake May. What in the hell are you even talking about? That was a ridiculous thing I've seen all day. Perps dropping a $20 hauler. Nice work, chat. 104 thumbs up. 110 watching. We got 103 still in the building as we're slowly winding down. Love the support for our guy Smitty. Thanks for hanging out with the best community on YouTube. Fantasy football. Let's go. Perps with a $20 hauler on the way out the door.
Alert. Super chat alert.
Thank you, Boss Horn Alert, Boss Horn Alert. And for those that don't know,
Alert. Super chat alert.
10% off using code Smitty at bosshorn.com. Bosshorn.com, 10% off using code Smitty. Thank you, Purse, for dropping that. I don't see Frank calling. Frank, how am I backpedaling on Drake May? Because I said let's wait until pro days in the combine before we cement him into his spot, Frank? Sure. Sure, Frank. All right, we are out of here. Appreciate you all. Why do you want me to fail? You said you're a Vikings fanboy, especially Cousins. So negative Ron, why come at me? Shaking my head, recycle QBs. Said it tonight many times. Perps isn't happy, Ron. Perps isn't happy, Ron.
Alert. Super chat alert.
He's not happy, Ron. Let's see here. Blackbeard says, if float storm came, look about 1,500 of us away with the current. Okay, you guys talking about some sort of storm. The one that accuses you of backpedaling always backpedaled when they get called out, says Travis. That does seem to be the case. Backpedaling in early February when the NFL conclusion, the NFL playoffs hasn't even occurred yet. Backpedaling. Thank you, Perks, for the $20 haulers. Thank you, Ron Navy, for the $5 hauler. Thank you, Perps, again, for that other 20. Thank you, Space Ricky, for your $2 hauler. Thank you, Avon, with your $2 hauler. Thank you, Perps, for the 20 gifted memberships. If you got a gifted membership from Perps, please throw up a heart, eggplant emoji, a thumbs up, whatever way you want to express yourself to say thank you. Later, Space Ricky. Thank you, Sick Nasty. Thank you, Blackbeard. Thank you, Travis Rowe. Thank you to my moderator crew. Thank you to the phone callers. Thank you, Perps, Ron, and Travis, for a nice, lively debate. It definitely got a little heated, but, you know, it is what it is. That's what makes this show great. Hope him and CEH go to the Bengals. We'll be talking about CEH to the Bengals a lot this offseason, I think, because Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a free agent running back, and I definitely think Joe Burrow is going to push for that. So get ready for that. Spacula in the building. Hod Prime, what's going on? Appreciate you. Rookie rankings come out at some point this week, or rookie video, and then the rookie rankings drop on the website. So get ready. Yeah, backpedaling Peters are all the ones that always say backpedaling. It's true. Bijan top 5 running back 2024. At least, Theo. At least, I mean, that's disrespectful to call him a top 5 running back. How about a top 1 to 5 running back, Theo? Theo, maybe you take a lap on that. I might take away your Bijan card, Theo.
Your Bijan card has been revoked.
I'll let you keep it. I'll let you keep it. But next time, put some respect on it. It's 1 to 5. Top 1 to 5 running back, not top 5 running back. Do it live, Theo. Do it live. See you all later. Appreciate you.
Hi, my name is Bijan Robinson. I like long walks on the beach. And, well, I also like scoring.
Perps 14 Ron, I know, but tonight you called me out on being a smiling pile of poo Vikings fan, and you were more of a Vikings fan than me. I love ya bro, but my head hurt. Time for bed. Ron Navy, sorry Perps, but it seems you don't appreciate what you have in Cousins. Ron Navy, plus you wanted to light my bunk on fire. Perps, fire, fire, fire. Travis Rowe, Perps knows what they have. A top 10 QB that's aging and hasn't been able to win the big game. Perps 14, you couldn't be further from the truth, Ron. It hit you in the face and you couldn't hear it because you were coming at me. Sick nasty thanks Smitty, see y'all later fam. Perps 14 Yes, I did want to light it on fire. You leveraged a personal attack on me. Ron Navy Smitty having way too much fun. W this face with tears of joy, face with tears of joy, face with tears of joy. Mark Berkelin, keep it coming boys, this ain't settled. Ron Navy Smitty laughing his ass off right now. Travis Rowe Rontage taking on the world. Do not besmirch Kirk's name. Perps 14 If it's not Ron's idea then it wrong. You're not entitled to your own opinion. It's not a free Ron country. The Fantasy Football Show I am out. Thanks all. See you on Rumble and Dynasty channel later tonight.
Your Bijan card has been revoked.